I'm tired of playing defense on the faith journey. I'm tired of being afraid. I'm tired of apologizing. Do you ever just get tired of reacting to the devil and his schemes? I want to be somebody who's directing. I want to be somebody who's leading. I don't want his threats to dictate one step that I take. So many of us, we tiptoe through life to simply arrive safely at death. It is a fact that you will die. The question today is, will you ever actually live?
Is there anybody in this building that's tired of being discontent? And you want to be able to say, if I get my way, I'm going to be happy. If I don't get my way, I'm going to be happy. I'm not going to let my circumstances control my moods. I am content and emotionally stable. That is my goal, to be content and emotionally stable.
It doesn't take much faith to give God glory when all your bills are paid. You don't have to be real strong when everything is well in your life. But when the bottom falls out, when sickness comes, when trials and difficulties come, when your health starts to fail, when your children break your heart, when difficulties, tough times, hard days, long nights, it is then that your faith kicks in to let you know that he's a very present help in the time of trouble.
Maybe you're unhappy right now with your current job. Maybe you're unhappy with your health, or maybe you're unhappy with the season of life you find yourself in. Has it ever occurred to you that you are not there by coincidence, but rather you are there by providence? I am here for such a time as this. See, there's a reason for your season. There's purpose in your pain. There is a design in the disaster. There's hope in the hurt. There's life even after death. I think it's time for a turnaround.
Because crying and complaining is not going to stop the trial. Murmuring and groaning is not going to stop the trial. And the purposes that God wants to work out in our lives may include trials, setbacks, heartbreak. It may mean that you have to stay sick a while. It may mean that you have to go through it a while. You're not going to come through it yet because God has his mighty hand on you. And that hand on your life is so powerful to get purpose out of you.
Hold your head up and dry your tears. You have nothing to be ashamed of. If you want to begin to move, you've got to clear your mind of all the unnecessary luggage and baggage that's weighing us down. Let it go and begin to focus on developing myself. And I say to you, you're going to have people to do things to you. Things are going to happen to you. And the most important thing to do is to harness your will and let it go and move so you can grow, so you can get on with your life. It doesn't matter about what happens to you. What matters is, what are you going to do about it?
Your life is a seed. The seed has to be coupled with a healthy environment. The seed has to go into the soil. It has to be healthy soil. The seed needs water. The seed needs sunlight. See, you and I are the same thing. We're a seed. We have to connect it to a community of people that are healthy and vibrant and believe the best really is in store for us. See, because you're kind of saying, I'm over it, but if you would share your calling, the moment you say, I'm over it, you would have somebody else walk up to you and say, wait a minute, let me just shed some light onto that dark area so that you can grow again. You're not quitting today. You're not quitting tomorrow. You're going to run this race of faith and you're not going to give up.
So as you begin to look at life, as you begin to look at the things you want to do, decide that you're going to become the active force in your life. Decide that you're not going to go through life feeling like a victim. Decide that when things become challenging, that you're not going to personalize it, that you're going to look at it and you do whatever you must do in order to work things out and learn from it. That's the key. You will always be faced with a series of God-ordained opportunities, brilliantly disguised as problems and challenges.
You got to get the word. Happiness is something you design. Happiness is a study. Happiness is a practice. Happiness is an art. It's not an accident. It's an art. And anybody that wants to can study, practice the art of happy living. Happiness is like culture. Money doesn't make you cultured, but culture is within the grasp of all of us. All you have to be is committed to it and make it a study. Culture is a study. Sophistication is a study. It's not an amount. It's not an account. It's a study. Money doesn't make you sophisticated. Only study and practice makes you sophisticated. Only study and practice makes you cultured. And only study and practice makes you happy. Study and practice makes you rich. Key phrase, don't be lazy in learning. 1, how to do well. Next, how to live well. Don't be lazy in learning and practicing the art of economics and practicing the art of lifestyle.
I'm not retreating. I'm not running. I don't care if you say we outnumbered. We live by this and we die by this. We don't retreat. Once we hit that wall, we don't quit. We don't give up. We push a switch called will, and we start using our willpower. Yes, we tired. Yes, the mind is saying give up. Yes, it's saying quit. But we cannot quit because we realize we have not reached the goal yet. This is not what I dreamed about. This is not what I said I was going to do. This is what I talked about. This is not what it looks like. And then once we get past that place, we become comfortable with being uncomfortable. We no longer thrive to be in the comfort zone. We no longer place ourselves in positions that make us feel good because some of what you want, some of what you're trying to get ain't in the comfort zone. And so if what you want is not in the comfort zone, you got to come out of the comfort zone to get what you want.
Absolutely refuse to quit. When you know what you're doing, what you're studying, the price you're paying is going to pay enormous dividends in the long run. Remember, 3% of the population earn 97% of all the money that's being earned. It's not an accident. It's not that they're that bright. Some of them aren't. They've learned to pay the price, and they always earn the reward.
There's some things that you can accomplish that you can't see right now. My favorite book says, eye has not seen, ear has not heard, nor has entered the heart of mankind what God has in store for you. When you're willing to say yes, when you're willing to move forward, life will respond to you. Mindset transformation is very important. Be ye not conformed to this world, be transformed by the renewing of your mind. You don't want to think like everybody else. You want uncommon thinking. Expand your skill sets.
If it's in your imagination, it's possible. Do you know that you can't think of something that can't happen? You know it's impossible to think of the impossible. It's not possible. So if you think it, it's possible. And if you live your life in possibilities instead of probabilities, you have a greater chance of finding happiness.
I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to do it, I'm all in. I'm the kind of person, I don't like being in between. I don't like to be at the back of the line. I want to be in the front of the line, and I'm going to prepare myself and work on myself to be a dominant voice.
Carefully consider how you live. So live wisely, not foolishly. Make the most of your time, because these are difficult days. You need to have a routine. Now, when you're stuck at home, it's so easy to slip into sloppiness. I want you to write this down right now. Routine develops resilience.
You got to resource yourself well, file every day, read every day. And so at 17, I started reading and filing every day and literally have done it all my life. And one day I began to realize I was relying way too much on those files. that I wasn't as creative and I wasn't testing what I should be testing, because I had a safety net. I go over there and, well, here I got this, and I was starting to read old thoughts, and old thoughts are old thoughts.
Happiness is freedom from the negative children of fear, such as worry, low self-esteem, envy, greed, anger, resentment, and so on. Happiness is an awareness and a grasp of the positive power of life and loving values. It is an order of thought, activity, and lifestyle. Happiness is values in balance. It is contact with people of substance.
Never live your life in probability. Probability is the probability of something happening. There's a statistic attached to a probability. 1 in every 3,000 people do this. That's a probability. A possibility has no stats attached to it. Live your life in possibilities and you're changing. Just change the way you think.
If you've had a dream, I guarantee you, you were born with that dream woven into your DNA. You see, dreams are deeply personal. And this is important for you to understand, because if you give up on your dream's gonna haunt you.
When suffering hits my life, I hope I have been putting into my interior life. But in order to use all those other muscles to face suffering, you're gonna actually have to put in and focus on the body and focus on your legs and understand it's leg day. It's gonna have some unintended consequences. And his big leg day workout routine for you is this little phrase, live in harmony.
For 29 years, kicking cancer's butt and still working, still in his right mind, still got the fire in his belly, still being active, still making a difference, still motivating people and inspiring people and making people feel good. If you believe that laughter is important, if you believe being deliberately positive is important, having a spirit of optimism is important in spite of.
Predictability creates stability. Structure creates steadiness. You need to set and stick with a routine for the duration of this pandemic. Stop watching so much news, because it's all negative right now. And for your own mental and emotional and spiritual health, you need to monitor your media intake.
I made a decision, a very difficult decision. All of my work for all those years of filing, I made a decision to get rid of all of it. They're not relevant, they're not new, they're not fresh, they don't breathe, there's no fire and passion in them. I'm just going to say to you, one of the good things about a crisis is it begins to help us to let go of the things that we have depended on the past so that we can go to an entire new level of living.
One woman just decided, you know what, you can't take my dignity from me. I can only give that up, and I don't choose to give it up, and I will not go back to the bus. The answer is no. And Rosa Parks changed an entire society, because that day she chose to focus on something else. She gave it a different meaning. This is not a command. You do not have control over me. And she decided to fight. And she changed the direction of a country and of many other countries. She started something.
There's another dimension, which is trait conscientiousness, which is integrity and dutifulness, orderliness, industriousness, openness, which is like a hybrid between intelligence roughly, and creativity. And so you can go there and find out how you compare to other people, and that's kind of interesting and useful, because it's kind of useful to know who you are, and to know that that's actually who you are, you know, that you have a nature.
We forget that you don't have to be famous to have the ability to change at least your own personal history, to change the direction we go in our life. We have the power to choose, even if you haven't before. You can finally say, no more, I won't put up with that, within myself or from anybody else. And here's what I'm going to do differently. That's where the breakthroughs really start to happen. Now the question is, why do some people stand their ground and make something change versus other people just kind of accept things?
Happiness is contentment with the tasks of your life. It is thought inspired by, organized with, and rooted in your personal philosophy. to become an invaluable form of currency for you to spend and invest in your own better future. Happiness is activity with purpose. It's love in practice.
You can take an introvert. You know you're an introvert if when you're around people, you get exhausted by it and you have to go off by yourself and recover. Then you're an introvert. And if you're an introvert, you don't really like being in groups. And so sales, maybe that's not for you, and that's a good thing to know, because if you're an introvert, why go be a salesperson and be miserable? Do something where you can spend time alone and not be miserable. That's better.
Credit goes to our awesome patrons who make videos like this one possible. Consider joining them to support our work. You can also support us by subscribing to our channel and clicking the bell button to get notified when our new videos are released. And as always, thank you for watching.
I want y'all to understand that haters have a job to do. You have hate and you have love. Never give a hater a stage to stand on, because they want nothing more than to be negative or do something negative and then have everybody to give them attention about it. Think about how far a hater will go. I've learned that insecure people will go above and beyond to create insecurities. Hurt people will go above and beyond to hurt people. Misery loves company, but people go so far. When you're miserable and you're a negative person, you go very far to create misery and negativity in other people's lives. So I've learned to laugh. Some of it doesn't feel good to receive it, but I've learned to laugh at it because you understand that people have a job to do. Haters, being a hater is a full-time job. Being a miserable person who has a job to create misery for other people's lives is a full-time job. I mean, who wants to be unemployed?
There are some folks in it that will just hate you because God likes you. You don't have to do anything to them. You don't have to mess up anything. You don't have to start a fight. They don't even have to know you. Most of my haters have never met me. I couldn't have done nothing to you because I don't even know you. How you gonna hate me and you don't even know me? Give me a chance to earn your hate.
I just want to talk to you about haters for a second, because we all got them. Everybody got haters. I didn't even know I had these many haters. Till I go on the internet, there they are. They just waiting on me. They don't even know me. They don't know you. They just be saying stuff. You don't even know where it come from.
That's why we have good and we have evil. And at the same time, what I have an appreciation about is if you're online or if you run into somebody and they just so happens to be a hater and they end up saying something to you that will actually change your life and make you a better person. You may not like the way they're saying it, but if they're saying something that's the truth that could actually impact you and make a difference, then you're supposed to remain a student of life, to learn, even if what you're learning is coming from a hater. Take the lesson from it, grow, mature, understand it, process, and then make the adjustments, and then you keep it moving. Understand that haters have a job to do. Process it, understand it. It balances our world.
I want to say how much I appreciate you, because you hated me on a level that I didn't even know I was on. And you hated me so long that I had to go back and stare at myself to see what you saw in me that made you hate me that bad. And I started discovering who I was because you changed my perception.
To everyone who is watching this video, no matter what you are doing to achieve a goal or to accomplish a mission or to improve yourself or change for the good for yourself, and you want to see changes in your life, Despite of any one of those things that you are focusing on doing, you have to understand something. There are always going to be a certain group of people who are going to hate on you for no apparent reason. But it's going to be dependent on how you respond to it and react to it. You can either react by allowing the negative words of those haters based on what they have said consume you and to let it rule over you and allow the voices of those negative words to get into you and then to the point of defeation that you cannot do it. Or you can ignore and don't be bothered with it and then stay focused on what you are doing. Have a plan to improvise and then adapt and then overcome in order to accomplish whatever that you are focused on for the good for yourself.
If we talk about getting set and free from sin and shame, we need to get set free from people. Not that we don't care about them, but we can't be controlled by them.
If you have a certain group of people who are hating on you for no apparent reason, they're sitting there saying, you can't do this, you can't do that, you cannot accomplish this, you're not able or capable of doing that. That ain't gonna never happen into your life for the good. The first thing you need to do is ignore what they said and don't be bothered with it. And then in the midst of it, while these people are saying all of that jibber jabber and stuff, do not argue with them. Focus and work and move in silence behind closed doors. That's what you need to do.
There is no worse feeling than that of invisibility. You know, when you are doing your very best and it goes unrecognized, it makes it kind of harder to want to keep doing it. And when you feel unseen, especially by the people whose attention and approval you crave the most, it can create a compulsion in your life to start doing things that are not even really consistent with your character in order to receive from people a confirmation that can be taken away just as easily as it was given. So my message is, if you have felt unnoticed, unappreciated, uncelebrated, and insignificant in this kingdom, what is unseen is often what is most significant.
We must drive the dark side of our nature into a small corner and let the positive side flourish. Early, we must learn to exercise self-control. Power is a wonderful thing, but it must be exercised properly to benefit and not to destruction. So self-control is certainly necessary to be a strong leader, so that you can become the best example. The example of having your temper well managed, having that dark side of your nature under control. The best example of choosing wise words and not being careless, that kind of control. Control of your desires so that they fit into the positive side of life and not the negative side. Self-control, very important.
When you decide, I have had enough, a leader is about to be born. Toleration is the graveyard of leaders. And that's why we lack leadership. Everybody wants to be liked. Nobody wants to rock the boat. And that's why we're not leaders, because we want everyone to agree with us. We still apologize for being successful. We feel ashamed to be in charge. When you still carry your history, you are afraid of success, because you may lose your friends who ain't going nowhere. Very subtle problems. Your attitude is so powerful. It creates your atmosphere. It also is a source of your natural lifestyle. And if you're going to change your life, you got to change your attitude. Now here's the bottom line. Your belief system is the source of your attitude.
A leader must have, Napoleon said, a mastery of the details. All can be lost with just a couple of missing details. On the trip to the moon, everything has to work. There's several thousand moving parts. There's several thousand pieces to the project of getting to the moon and coming back, and all of them have to work. And then there's the backup systems for something if something goes wrong, to back it up. That kind of mastery of detail is so vitally important. The drama is in the details. Master the details. Good advice, Napoleon Hill. Willingness to assume full responsibility. What happened to me might not have been my responsibility, but what I do about it is my full responsibility. If a hailstorm destroys the farmer's crop, he wasn't responsible for that. But his responsibility now begins when the hailstorm is over, when he asks the question of himself, what should I do now?
Wherever you are in the world, just do me a favor and share this video, because just maybe somebody is at home stressed, depressed, frustrated, miserable, because they're on the receiving end of hate on you guys. Could make a difference in somebody's out there life. Understand, they have a job to do. Look for the lesson in the hate. Learn from it, grow from it, mature from it, process it, and then you keep it moving.
Self-preparation. Be ready for tomorrow by doing all that you can today, setting your goals. Set a goal that will make you stretch for what it will make of you to achieve it. What a brand new reason for setting goals. What an all-encompassing challenge to have a better vision of the future, to see what it will make of you to achieve it. And here's why. The greatest value in life is not what you get. The greatest value in life is what you become. The major question to ask on the job is not, what am I getting here? The major question to ask is, what am I becoming here? It's not what you get that makes you valuable. It's what you become that makes you valuable. Set the kind of goals that will make something of you to achieve them. So there you have the two components of positive self-direction. Number one, self-knowledge, knowing who you are, what you want to do with your life. And number two, self-preparation, getting ready for the opportunities before they come your way. You need both aspects for positive self-direction. Figuring out who you are and what you want. And being prepared for the day you reach your goals. Being ready. Being worthy. Becoming the person you need to be in pursuit of what you want. What good is an opportunity if you're not prepared to take advantage of it? It's no good. Won't do a thing for you. Be prepared. Now here's what's called the self-knowledge acid test. Quickly, without thinking too much about it, quickly list your 3 most important long-term work-related goals. Is it a client you've been trying to sign for several months? Is it a major sale you've been trying to make? Is it a promotion? Is it a partnership in the firm? Quickly list your 3 most important long-term work-related goals. Achievements that you want to make. Achievements that will take a while to get. Write them down. Again, without thinking too much about it, quickly list your 3 most important personal and spiritual goals. Things that will make a difference in your personal life. Is it going to church more often than holidays? Grasping all you can from the Sunday sermon? Is it spending more quality time with your kids? Is it turning the TV off during the dinner hour and actually talking about the important things in life with your family? Is it making more dates with your spouse? Is it planning a much-needed family vacation? What is it? What are the important goals in your personal and spiritual life? Is one of them making a conscious effort to exercise more, to eat better, to lose some weight, to get in shape? What are the 3 most important personal and spiritual goals that you have? Write them down. Doesn't matter what they are, just write them down. Now, take some time to really visualize what the achievement of these goals would look like. What does your future hold for you if you landed that big client? What does your future look like if you got that promotion? If you spent more time with your family? if you planned more outings with your spouse? What does your future look like? Really spend some time on this now. It's important stuff. What does it all look like? Ask yourself, is this really my goal? Is this truly what I want? Is it a positive goal? Is it important enough to me to become what it takes to reach this goal? Is it mine? Is it worth it? If your 3 goals on the career side and 3 goals on the personal side don't stand up to these questions, you need to take some time to carefully redefine a few things. Redefine your list. Redefine where it is that these goals came from. Redefine what actually is important to you. Redefine how hard you'll really work to get them. Now, there are 2 parts to this goal setting and redefining process. There's 2 parts. Number 1, don't set your goals too low. An interesting thing that we teach in leadership, don't join an easy crowd. You won't grow. Go where the expectations are high. Go where the demands are high. Go where the pressure is on to perform, to grow, to change, to develop, to read, to study, to develop skills. Now here's the second part on setting goals. Number 1 is don't set your goals too low. Number 2 is don't compromise. Don't sell out. There were some things I went for back in those early years that I paid too big a price for. If I'd known back then how much it was going to cost me, I never would have gone for them. But I didn't know. Don't sell out. An ancient phrase says, count the cost. Count the cost if it won't make you happy to get it. If you become less in your pursuit of getting it, if it's not worth the life you'll lead after you get it, it's not worth it. Now let's talk a little more about self-preparation. Self-preparation has 2 benefits. The first benefit of self-preparation is that it moves you toward your goal. You've already got it in mind. You know where you want to go. You're getting ready for it. You're doing all the things you're supposed to do. And by getting ready to achieve your goals, you're moving closer to your goals. That's how it works. The second major benefit to self-preparation is that it refuels your ambition. Your activity refuels your ambition. The things that you are doing today are getting you ready for tomorrow. It's exciting. You know that you're getting closer every day. Ambition must be kept alive, be kept active, must continue to move forward. Otherwise, you're just daydreaming. You must keep active, keep moving forward so your ambition can fuel you, motivate you, get you where you want to be. Self-preparation. The benefits are, number 1, it moves you toward your goals, and number 2, it refuels your ambition. Be prepared. Get ready. This method of self-preparation involves 3 steps. Step 1. Carefully consider where the next opportunity for reaching your goal will originate. Where will it come from? Will it come from networking with your colleagues? Will it come from reading the last book that you bought? The book that's still sitting on your shelf waiting to give you some answers? Will it come from you taking the time to think it out? Where will it come from? The next opportunity that will push you forward. If you don't know, here's what you have to do. For each major goal of yours, the top priorities on your list, for each of these, take out a separate piece of paper, 1 single sheet per major goal, write down your goal at the top, and start listing all reasonable resources. Write down every possible place that you could find the opportunity to achieve this goal. And with each resource, classify them. Ask yourself, is this resource a sure thing? A good bet? About even chances? Unlikely? A long shot? Ask yourself these questions and classify all of the resources you have written down. That's the first step. The second step in this method of self-preparation is to make sure you know what you need to do to be prepared for your opportunities. Take your sure things first. Figure out what you need to do to be prepared when they happen. Break down your preparation into concrete steps. Make sure that you know exactly what you have to do to take advantage of the opportunity when it comes your way. Let's say that one of the top priorities on your career list of goals is to get this new client. Let's take it one step further to say that on your resource list for this goal is to have a lunch meeting with a friend who just happens to be the mentor of the client you're going after. Is this friend of yours a sure bet on your resource list? Well, let's say he is. I mean, you know this guy is a tremendous consulting source for the client you want. The client you want really listens to the opinions and advice of your friend. So you're getting ready to have lunch with your friend. What do? You've got to make sure that you're up on all the knowledge and the industry data that will impress your friend. Make him realize that he knows someone who could benefit from your knowledge and your vitality and your spirit and your experience. Impress him. Impress him so much that he goes back to his friend, the client you're after, and tells this prospective client of yours that he needs to do business with you. Be prepared. Go through your entire list of goals and resources and classify them. Break each resource into concrete steps of preparation. Start by working on the sure bets first, and then move down the line. The long shots will come through every so often, but start with the resources that will serve you best now. Get ready for the opportunities before they come your way. Step 3 in the self-preparation method is to do all you can to make each opportunity more likely to happen. After you've determined what you have to do to get ready, to be prepared, after you've determined this, see what you can do to expedite the process. What can you do to increase the likelihood of this opportunity? Go over it and over it and over it. Use these 3 methods again and again as you assess where you are now and where you have to go next to keep moving toward the achievements that are most important to you. Step 1, consider your resources. Step 2, determine what you have to do to get ready. Step 3, expedite the opportunities. And by the way, this method of self-preparation works wherever you are in your journey, whether you're close to your goals or whether you're just starting your journey of self-direction. This method works. Have working knowledge to draw from. Continually work on yourself in preparation of where you want to be. Build a reservoir of thoughts and ideas and philosophies and experiences that are your own. Build, grow, change, get ready. Be prepared. Be prepared for a life worth living. Now, here are the 4 ifs that make life worthwhile. Number 1, life is worthwhile if you learn. Nothing worse than being stupid. Life is worthwhile if you learn. Learn from your personal experiences. Learn from other people's experiences. Second, life is worthwhile if you try. Now you've got to take what you've learned and see if you can try your hand at it. Someone says, well, you can't try, you have to do. No, you have to try. I put the bar up 2 feet and ask the kids who can jump 2 feet. I can, some say. I can't, some say. I don't know, some say. How are you going to know? You don't. You've just got to try. Just back off and run at it. How are you going to know if you don't try? Now, what if you knock the bar down? Does that mean you can't jump 2 feet? No. You have to what? Try it again. Of course, you have to try. Try it another way, but try. Try your hand at it. When the record book on you is finished, let it show your wins and your losses, but don't let the record book show that you didn't try. Next, life is worthwhile if you stay. You've got to learn to stay. Now, you don't have to stay forever. Just stay till you see it through. A guy builds a foundation and then he wanders off somewhere and builds another foundation. He's got these foundations scattered all across the country. I mean, no walls, no roofs, just a bunch of foundations. Not a good reputation. Stay. You don't have to stay forever. Just stay to finish something. Don't fall into the trap of less than refined sophistication. Stay till it's over. The fourth if that makes life worthwhile: 1 is if you learn, 2 is if you try, 3 is if you stay, and fourth if that makes life worthwhile is if you care. Caring is a unique human experience that is so vital and so powerful and so all-encompassing and so far-reaching. If you care at all, you'll get some results. If you care enough, you can get magnificent.
When somebody comes and says, John, I want to be a leader, I always ask them the question, why? Why do you want to be a leader? I mean, do you want to be a leader because you want a corner office? Do you want to be a leader because you like to be in control? Do you want to be a leader because you love to be in the front of the pack? Do you want to be a leader because you want to have a good parking place? Why do you want to be a leader? Because leadership isn't easy. Leadership a lot of times isn't fun. Leadership a lot of times is kind of lonely. There's only one reason to be a leader, and that is to add value to people. And you and I will only add value to people if we truly value them. I have a nonprofit organization, Equip, that's trained almost 2 million leaders internationally around the world. And I kid you not, as I go to developing countries twice a year and I travel internationally and I sit down, sometimes I have the privilege of being in the offices of presidents of countries. And as I watch these developing countries, the thing that is the cardinal sin among leadership so much is that they have leaders of their countries that truly don't value the people. And if you and I don't value people, we will devalue people. Number 2, if you want to add value to people, you have to make yourself more valuable. You just have to get better. You have to keep growing. You have to keep learning. You have to keep developing. Why? Very simply. If you're leading the pack, you've got to be able to give what you have, and you can't give what you don't have. And so therefore, you've got to put a lot of good stuff in so that you can pass it on to others and share with them and add value to them. Thirdly, if you want to add value to people, you have to know and relate to what other people value. You and I have to walk slowly through the crowd. We have to listen. We have to care. You see, great leaders are first of all listeners, and then they're learners, and then they're leaders. They really do take their cue from the people. They understand that the key of leadership is connecting with the people that you lead, and the only way that you and I ever connect is by caring enough to listen. Number 4 is very important to me. When I'm speaking in the business community, I always share with them that for them there are 3 ways to add value to people, but for me there are 4. And I tell them I'll give them the 3. And so I'll spend maybe an hour doing those 3 things I just shared with you, talking about how to add value to people. And inevitably, when I'm done with the 3, somebody raise their hand and say, John, you said that for you there was 4, but you said there's only 3 for us. I said, yes, it's nothing personal, but this is about my faith. And so I don't really need to share this with you. It's because I'm trying to help you, and I don't want to cross boundaries with you. And inevitably they'll say, but John, tell us what yours is. And I'll say, well, okay, you can hear mine, but don't write it down. In fact, don't listen. Because number 4 for me is, if I really want to add value to people, I have to do the things that God values.
How would you tell us to develop a habit of curiosity?
Well, you know what? People do look at me and see me as creative because I've written so many books, and I am curious. But when I started off in college, in my freshman psych class, they gave us a test that for each student to take on creativity. And there were 17 in that class. I can remember it well. And I was at the bottom of the class on creativity. I mean, I was like number 17 out of 17. And what the teacher posted the scores. And so, I mean, I saw how bad I was. And then I really felt bad, not only because I wasn't creative, but I was going to go pastor, I was going to go into ministry, I was going to teach, I was going to do sermons. And then I got to thinking to myself, I'm going to be another boring preacher. And, you know, that just gripped me. I thought, oh, this is going to be awful. I'm going to bore people all my life, you know what I mean? And then I'm going to ask them to pay while they hear me. I mean, this is an awful deal. So, and so 2 things I did. And I talk about it in the book. One is I started filing. I started taking thoughts and quotes. And the reason I started doing that is I thought, if I'm not going to be good at what I say, I need to quote somebody that is good. And so I started filing things that other people would say. So I'd go around and I'd say, well, Ken said, you know what I mean? And Joe said, and Susie said. And so that at least I would be a little bit more interested. And that's how it started.
When you realize things in your life happen for you truly, especially in hindsight. Everybody knows it in hindsight, right? If you look back at any disaster, tragedy, most people look back 5-10 years later, they go, that happened for me. That was actually a good thing. And so I was unemployed. I couldn't find a job. And my old man, my dad, was the best dad role model you could ever have in your life. Hardworking man, good man. He's a better man than me. Has more integrity than me. He's the best man I've ever known. But when I was growing up, my dad had a drinking problem. And so my dad had gotten sober recently, and he was going to these meetings. And he comes home from one of his meetings and says, there's a guy at my meeting who can get you a job. And it's right down the street in San Dimas. You're going to be working with kids. Doesn't pay anything. It's $6 an hour, but you're going to get this damn job. So show up there tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Ask for Tim. So I drive down there. It's a place called McKinley Home for Boys. Little did I know that would alter my entire life. That was the most significant thing that happened to me. And so I walk in there. I said, I'm Ed Milet. I'm here for the job. They're like, what job? I'm like, I don't know. Just my dad told me to show up here.
Yeah.
I need to ask for Tim. They're like, we have no idea who the hell Tim is. What's his last name? I said, I don't know his last name. And they're like, so you showed up for a job that you don't know what it is and you don't know who it is that's hiring you. I'm like, here's what I know. He's an alcoholic. I'm like, oh, Tim.
That's him.
Yeah, we know that Tim. And so they bring me to the guy and he says, you're hired. Let's go. Like literally shakes my hand and you're hired. And he introduces me to these 8 boys that were my boys. They were 7, 8, and 9 years old. And basically I lived with these boys, these precious boys. And we ended up adding a few more. My boys were all wards of the court. They were all molested by family where parents were in prison. And so they had no family. And so my whole life changed. All of a sudden, I'm this 22-year-old guy. These guys become my sons. I lived with them. It altered me completely.
Wow.
Like what I wanted to do. I always wanted to be famous and rich and successful. And now I just wanted to serve.
Yeah.
I wanted to help. Little did I find out I could get rich and famous and all that other stuff I thought I wanted through serving people, right? And so just altered me, man.
We really do acquire what we're most obsessed with. So if you're obsessed with your worries and your stresses and your problems, you will find a freaking way to obsess on them and you'll eventually possess them. Same with the things you want. People think that's corny, but I'll give you an example, an addict. Addicts take all different kinds of forms, but we could go out on the street here. And by the way, I want to make sure that people understand this. Not everybody that lives on the street is an addict. They've got mental illness or some people actually chosen to live there. But if we found an addict that was living on the street, no job, no income, no source of money, they find a way to get their drug, don't they? You find a way. If you're obsessed with something enough, regardless of the conditions, and addicts are the perfect example. They can have no money, no resources, been locked up before. Everyone knows they're trying to get it. They could be in support me. But if they want that drug bad enough with no resources, no nothing, they find a way to get it. That's how humans are when they get obsessed with something. So don't tell me you can't win. Don't tell me you can't build your company. You can't get the person you want or the money you want. If you want it like an addict, bad analogy, but true. You want it like an addict needs their fix. You'll find a way to get it. That's how human beings are.
So then the next best predictor of lifetime success is conscientiousness. Well, so, and of the 2 aspects of conscientiousness, say orderliness and industriousness, the better predictor is industriousness. So the question is, well, what can you do about your industriousness? And the answer to that is, well, that's kind of rough too, because there's a strong genetic component. But you can work on micro habits with regards to your conscientiousness. And I think the best micro habits, this is partly to do with this future authoring program processes, I think the best thing you can do with regards to your conscientiousness is to set up some aims for yourself, goals that you actually value. And the future authoring program helps people do that. And basically it does a situational analysis it helps you do a situational analysis of your life more than a psychological analysis, I would say. And so the questions are something like, well, all right, you're going to have to put some effort into your life and you need to be motivated to do that. And so what are the potential sources of motivation? Well, you could think about them in the big 5 manner. You know, if you're extroverted, you want friends. If you're agreeable, you want an intimate relationship. If you're disagreeable, you want to win competitions. If you're open, you want to engage in creative activity. If you're high in neuroticism, you want security. Okay, so those are all sources of potential motivation that you could draw on, that you could tailor to your own, your own personality. But then there are dimensions that you want to consider your life across. And so we ask people about, well, if you could have your life the way you wanted it in 3 to 5 years, if you were taking care of yourself properly, what would you want from your friendships? What would you want from your intimate relationship? How would you like to structure your family? What do you want for your career? Well, how are you going to use your time outside of your job? And how are you going to regulate your mental and physical health, and maybe also your drug and alcohol use? Because that's a good place to auger down, because alcoholism, for example, wipes out 5 to 10% of people. So you want to keep that under control. And then so maybe, you know, you develop a vision of what you would like your life to be, and that associates the goal. Well, once the goal is established, and then you break down the goal into micro processes that you can implement. The micro processes become rewarding in proportion, in relation to their causal association with the goal, and that tangles in your incentive reward system. You know, we talked about the dopaminergic incentive reward system, and that's the thing that keeps you moving forward. And the way it works is that it works better if it produces positive emotion when it can see you moving towards a valued goal. Okay, well, what's the implication of that? Life. Better have a valued goal, because otherwise you can't get any positive motivation working out. And so the more valuable the goal, in principle, the more the micro processes associated with that goal start to take on a positive charge. And so what that means is, well, you get up in the morning and you're excited about the day, you're ready to go. And so as far as I can tell, what you do is you specify your long-term ideal. Maybe you also specify a place you want to stay the hell away from, so that you're terrified to fail as well as excited about succeeding, because that's also useful. You specify your goal. You do that in some sense as a unique individual. You want to specify goals that make you say, oh, if that could happen as a consequence of my efforts, it would clearly be worthwhile.